Poppy Playtime, a look into Mascot horror. So I've played some of the Poppy Playtime video games before. I finished 1, I finished 2. I didn't get to finish 3. That school teacher, man, she was tough to beat. And then 4, I played a bit of it and I stopped after Pianosaurus. Before Yanabi, I stopped just there. But with Chapter 5 coming out real soon, I want to get back into the franchise. So today we are going to be checking out a video by Conor McGrath, Poppy Playtime, and look into Mascot horror. Without further ado, let's get right into it.
Conor
McGrath. You're that freaky. That thing is Huggy Wuggy. Don't let its innocent look fool you. That thing is deadly, man. Jesus.
Now, I want to be perfectly clear and get ahead of the comments. This video is not a lore breakdown, it is not a theory video, It is not a walkthrough. When I talk about Poppy Playtime tonight, I'll be doing my best to look at the big picture as it relates to Mascot horror, and not just recap the story. I'm much more interested in discussing why the game is doing something versus simply telling you what it's doing.
Man, I got scared there for a second, man. You gotta be kidding me. I thought Huggy was gonna pop up there for a second.
However,
Jesus.
since our understanding of the game's tropes and structure relies on an at least basic knowledge of the story, I'll start with a quick summary to catch us up to speed before we start talking about what exactly this game is doing and how it relates to the overall Mascot horror genre.
Talk to me,
I'm gonna try to focus only on the most important parts. Poppy Playtime is a story broken up into chapters. There are currently...
Look at that. Chapter 1, a tight squeeze. Chapter 2, a fly in a web. Chapter 3, deep sleep. Chapter 4, safe haven. Like I said, I finished chapter 1 and 2. 3, the school teacher got me. 4, I've yet to play, well, finish 4 because I just stopped before the midway section of the game.
4 available, with another scheduled for release sometime in 2026. I was initially under the impression that the 5th entry would be the final in the series, based on the conclusion of the 4th chapter, and the fact that 5 is a good round number for a series, but...
I wonder if the franchise is going to end with Chapter 5, because I know the prototype is going to be showing up in Chapter 5, the one who is responsible for many of the atrocities within inside of the toy factory.
Based on the new trailer that was released the day this script was written, I now suspect this is not the case. Each chapter of the game sees you facing off against one major antagonist, as well as typically a number of smaller enemies. The first chapter is incredibly short, with a complete playthrough coming in at around half an hour, but
if y'all didn't realize it by now, I'm a wuss when it comes to horror games, man. Seriously, that is the reason why I quit on Chapter 3, because that school teacher is one of the scariest things I've seen in a video game.
Later chapters are about 3 to 4 hours long. In the first chapter, called A Tight Squeeze, we're introduced to a toy company known as Playtime, as well as a number of their toys, all of which will become relevant to us during our time in the factory. Our antagonist for this chapter is a large fuzzy blue creature known as Huggy Wuggy.
Yo, demonic fiend. Look at him, standing there. Hi guys, I'm out. Yuck. Hey, you want a hug? Shut that up, man.
You may have thought this was the eponymous Poppy, which makes sense given this game's marketing and the popularity of Huggy as a character, but no, you don't meet Poppy until the end of this chapter.
Yeah, he became so big. Huggy Wuggy became so big that he outclassed the actual toy this game is named after, Poppy. He became the mascot, essentially.
You explore the main visitor area of this Playtime toy factory after
that's when his hand moves by the door.
Hours for a while,
yeah, there we
before
go.
being accosted by a monster.
Look at him, man. Jesus. You're freaky looking. I mean, that dude's got a mouth inside of a mouth. And when he gets his hands on you, then he bites your head off. Freak.
Version of the blue toy, who chases you through the factory until you lure him to his death. After this point, you make your way to a doll locked in a glass case, free her, at which point she speaks to you, and the game ends. In Chapter 2, Fly in a Web, you learn more about this doll, who is actually the Poppy we've been hearing about from the title, as well as a number of other employees who worked at this facility. Their names are important if you are lore diving, but we're not really doing that tonight, so I'm just gonna gloss over them for now.
Yeah, the premise of this game, the entire story of the orphans and such, like, it is really dark, it is messed up. Like, Mob Entertainment, they killed it with the lore of this game. They really killed it.
While leading you to your next objective, a children's activity station that apparently has a train that you can take to the exit, Poppy is grabbed and taken by the antagonist of this chapter, a spindly pink creature with a sickly sweet voice known as Mommy Longlegs. She is a sinister character who clearly wishes for your death, but goes about trying to kill you in convoluted but thematically appropriate ways. Each of the games in the activity station have been made more dangerous, but you manage to survive them. When she eventually reaches us again, we begin another chase sequence until
Yeah, I sucked at that chase sequence. I had to ask my nephew to do it for me, man. I had to ask him to do it because I kept on dying. Look at her face, she looks messed up.
Eventually tricking our pursuer into getting caught in some industrial machine,
where she
gets all squished to death. Before we leave for the train, we see her body being dragged away by a strange metallic claw. Our introduction to a character that will become a lot more relevant in the next chapters.
The prototype.
We make our way back to the train, aiming for the exit before our path is hijacked by Poppy, somehow, and we're actually sent deeper into the facility.
Poppy can't be trusted, man. I don't trust that chick. The fact that in chapter 4's climax, towards the ending, she was revealed to have a special connection with the prototype. So I don't know what she's planning. Maybe she's a part of this entire sick thing they have going on over at the toy factory with all the experiments that are going down on the orphans. Maybe she's involved, who knows?
Driving us deeper into the story, but also indicating to us that perhaps Poppy is not very trustworthy. We still have no idea who Poppy really is, what happened here to make all the monsters come to life so violently, or why we came here in the first place. This chapter ends with our train picking up too much speed and crashing. Chapter 3, Deep Sleep, picks up right around where things left off.
Catnap shows up.
Our body is dropped down a chute by a monstrous purple creature we later learn is named Catnap. We, A New Hope, our way out of...
Catnap is one of the most terrifying creatures in Poppy Playtime, man. His voice, his presence, the way he acts like an actual cat sneaking up on his prey. Flipping scary, man.
Garbage compactor we've been thrown into, and make our way to a place called the Gas Production Zone. This chapter has a lot to do with something known as red smoke, a product produced by the Playtime company and emitted by Catnap, which causes hallucinations and nightmares in those who breathe it in.
Oh, I remember this scene.
You get contacted by an unknown character who calls himself Ollie around this point.
Yeah, what they did with Ollie there was pretty messed up, man. That was messed up.
We don't know who he is, he never describes himself, but his voice does sound childlike. We're introduced to a new setting now, deep below the majority of the factory.
That taught me a lesson. Childlike doesn't always mean innocent.
As we know it. A surreal and, I'm gonna say it, sort of liminal, abandoned artificial playtime branded neighborhood for children called Playcare. This is the place that the orphans from the mystery program used to live. Over the course of the chapter, we gain access to a couple different zones in order to gain enough power to move some gas from a place we need to go. These areas, in order, are an orphanage, a school, a play place, and finally an administrative building, each of which hold their own terrible school, a play place, and finally an administrative building, each of which hold their own terrible monsters and hidden secrets. We've been seeing it for a while, but this is the place where the sparkle of Mascot horror really starts to show. We'll return to that later. Throughout this chapter, we learn more about Catnap, specifically the fact that he seems to worship this entity known as the Prototype, who we personally know almost nothing about, other than the fact that it's immensely powerful and feared by every non-evil creature down here. We also learn a little bit more about Poppy, and the fact that she's formed an alliance with a female pink variant of the Huggy Wuggy character known as Kissy Missy. This character does not...
This scene creeped me out. Look at her. She might be innocent, but she's deadly. Well, at least she's on the outside within the games.
Emote, but it protects us in a few scenes and has the vague physical disposition of a child.
Look at them lips, man. Them lips look messed up. Dry-ass lips. Well, they look moist over there, but when you zoom in, it looks all cracked up like old goddamn sausages, man. That's nasty.
I oddly trust this character more than any other character I've encountered. Potentially because I can be confident they're not lying to me.
Check the legs
We
out.
eventually face off against Catnap, holding off illusory doubles of him until we have enough energy to hit him back.
Look at him, flipping hell. Why do I want to pause on him
illusory
there?
doubles of him until we have enough.
Look at him, yo, the guy looks like a crackhead, man. Man, what the hell is going on? The eyes like, you gotta be kidding.
Energy to hit him back
Freaky.
and weaken him. He dies after being
Check the ribs, man. What the hell is going on there? Yo! Prototype, how can you be starving that poor guy, man? Feed him!
killed by that same strange metallic hand that dragged away Mommy Longlegs in the last chapter. A hand that we have started to associate with
Prototype is just collecting bodies at this point. Bodies, weave.
this prototype character. After beating Catnap, we meet back up with Poppy and begin to descend into a new setting when Kissy is attacked by an unknown entity, and we drop away before we know exactly what happened to her.
I think that was the prototype who attacked her.
Chapter 4, the most recent entry as of the writing of this script, also known as Safe Haven, picks up, once again, where things left off. We separate from Poppy for a while and make our way to an underground prison.
Jeez.
Why does this toy factory
I remember
/
this
orphanage
part.
have a secret underground prison? Well, we'll find out during this chapter. We encounter a character who speaks to us primarily through speakers and TV screens, who taunts us and vaguely implies that he physically is sort of the entire facility we're working our way
The
through.
Doctor is a really intimidating character. He's not scary per se. He just looks weird. He looks like he kind of looks like a regular show character, you know, a head for a TV screen for a head with robotic arms and a cloak on. He kind of looks like he jumped straight out of a regular show. But yeah, his voice is very intimidating. Harley Sawyer, Jesus.
His name is the Doctor.
Yep.
Doctor Who. We fight our way through the prison area,
Doctor Who.
which is steeped in lore about orphans being experimented on and
All the nightmare critters.
changed and tortured.
Look how they're jumping.
Classic Mascot horror stuff, you know? I had sort of guessed it since the beginning, but it seems pretty clear that most of the orphans and potentially a lot of the staff have been turned into these toy creatures. It also seems like at some point in the past...
Actually, Poppy described this event to us at the end of the last chapter. I must remember this moment. It's coming later during my scripting process. Yes, the Hour of Joy. So the Hour of Joy is an event that Yes, the Hour of Joy. So the Hour of Joy is an event that took place within the factory where, it was planned by the prototype, where he, along with the rest of the experiments and the toys, turned on the staff within the factory and slaughtered all of the humans. It is wild, man. It was crazy. I would love to see that scene specifically animated because we only get it in VHS form and see how the toys kill all the humans. There is a Poppy Playtime live action movie coming out, so yeah, I actually want to see how they're going to interpret the Hour of Joy within the film.
There was some sort of violent event that occurred, but was covered up. We start seeing human corpses littered about in various states, something that was noticeably absent from the higher levels. We're eventually introduced to an animalistic character named Yarn, who chases us through various areas as we do some high-intensity puzzle solving and energy routing. It's pretty tense and some good survival horror, but a lot of this action doesn't have very much story attached to it, so... Once we escape him, we almost have another encounter with a dangerous entity before being rescued by a sort of Play-Doh character named Doughy.
Yo, Pianosaurus doesn't even get his own name graphic, man. What the heck? I remember leading up to chapter 4 how they were hyping the hell out of Pianosaurus, saying he's gonna be a terrifying presence. Yeah, and Doughy the Dough Man gets rid of him really quickly, man.
I have to mention here that the voice actors for both Doughy and the Doctor are fantastic, and are far and away my favorite parts of this chapter, if not the game. Doughy leads us through more prison areas. His personality is awesome, shifting between jovial, suspicious, and downright intimidating with little warning. Our belief that these characters are children who are turned into toys is definitely strengthened at this point, but it almost seems like Doughy might have even more to him than that, like potentially being made of multiple individuals. Some puzzle solving later were separate.
He's got 3 kids inside of his body, man. Which leads to him having a 3-way split personality. It's actually devastating.
Separated from Doughy, but re-encounter Poppy and Kissy, who is seriously damaged. Everyone meets up in an underground, but re-encounter Poppy and Kissy, who is seriously...
What side of the hood did you go to? Oh my god, man. Oh, they messed you up big time.
Damaged. Everyone meets up in an underground community, the titular Safe Haven, where a number of non-evil toys have all holed up. They're dealing with hunger and sickness, which I didn't expect these toys to be capable of feeling, and believe that the Doctor is the source of all their troubles, not mentioning the prototype, which the Doctor apparently somehow works with. Poppy wants us to eliminate the Doctor so she can destroy this whole facility and wipe out the evil that's been done here, implying she has a greater understanding of what's actually going on in this facility, but Doughy only wants the Doctor dead so he'll leave the rest of the toys alone. He doesn't want to destroy this place and kill all his friends. Either way, Poppy and Doughy share a part of their goal, so they essentially send you on a hit mission to kill the Doctor and retrieve a valuable hand tool item thing from him. We have to deal with Yarnaby again and do some bullshit, but eventually we make our way to the Doctor's lair, where we get a much greater look into the cruelties of the facility.
I didn't play this far in chapter 4.
We successfully kill the Doctor, whose human body parts have been scattered throughout
Look at him!
And take the tool back to safety.
Oh, okay, those were one of his
Shortly
minions.
after this, the area is attacked by the prototype. Doughy is busy trying to distract the creature and lead it away from Safe Haven, so we end up starting Poppy's plan to blow up the facility. We place a bunch of explosives and are ready to end things when we realize that in our absence, the prototype finally got into Safe Haven and killed everyone.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet the prototype knew exactly where Safe Haven was. He was just giving him false hope. Yeah, he's a freak.
When Doughy realizes this, he goes into a rage.
I haven't played this far in chapter 4, but I have seen the scenes and gameplay of it, so I do have some idea of what happens.
Blaming you and twisting into a much more monstrous version of himself who tried...
Look at that, 3 kids trying to claw their way outside of his mouth. Doughy the Dough Man, people.
...to kill you. You end up killing him first.
Yeah, that was
pretty
gruesome.
sad. And meet back up with Poppy and Kissy. You're not even sure what to do anymore when the 3 of you are contacted again by Ollie, who reveals that he's actually the prototype. And Poppy abandons
that was
you
a
and
plot
Kissy.
twist.
The prototype sets off an explosion.
See, Ollie was the prototype all along, man. He has this voice changer thing going on, which masked his true identity.
Sending you even deeper into a lab underground where you have a brief encounter with Huggy, who I guess is alive again somehow.
This ending was insane. I saw YouTubers reacting to it. They were like, what the heck? He's alive? That was pretty cool.
There's a very specific way that Poppy Playtime tries to get under your skin. While, yes, these games do include many of the classic survival horror stuff you might be used to, stuff like stealth, chase sequences, jump scares, puzzles solving, progression, it also manages to nail both the childish and exciting qualities that draw younger audiences
through
into
the
horror,
puzzles,
as well as the nostalgic and more adult atmosphere that older horror fans have started responding to. This is most clear at the start of each chapter, which begins with a mixed live-action and animated sequence resembling...
These are really well done, by the way.
...several entries into the analog horror genre. Each of these introductory clips give us a little information about the company, usually the original intended toy form of whatever villain we'll be dealing with, but also sets the tone of the episode. We're seeing bright colors, kids running and playing, zany sound effects, and original toys that remind us of what it was like to be a child, getting excited about some new toy because an awesome commercial came on between
I wouldn't play with that freaky pink-looking hole.
Episodes of Teen Titans. Jesus. This is a part of the Mascot horror genre that works across the board.
Y'all tell me that's not freaky, man. What the heck? Kids wanna buy this trash? I'm kidding. I'd be more concerned about grown-ups wanting to buy this, honestly.
For all audiences, because it puts younger and older audiences alike on the same footing, balances out the equation between an uncomfortable...
She kind of thick though.
Horror game and a fun horror game experience. We just have to look at the designs of the characters to understand what I'm talking about. There's a
man, what the heck?
reason we're introduced to the original forms of these monsters first. Huggy Wuggy looks fuzzy and soft.
Freak.
Mommy Longlegs has a sweet and caring tone. Doughy is goofy and cartoonish, It makes the inevitable moment when these creatures become something worse, something actively horrific, more impactful.
Makes a good point. Yeah, he makes a good point.
Or, at least, it's supposed to.
Poppy Playtime has figured out a very effective formula, you know. I like it. I see why a lot of other indie horror games are following in their footsteps as well, like Garden of Banban, Indigo Park as well. Pretty cool, pretty cool.
Here's the thing, and this isn't specific to the Mascot horror genre, but it's definitely a problem I've seen with it a lot. I'm all about warping something normal or innocent into something horrifying and menacing. I think it makes a lot of sense, throws your emotions and connections out of whack, and makes you unsure of what to expect. But I think sometimes there's a bit of a threshold to how far you can twist something before its strangeness kind of shifts into goofiness. Like a sort of inverse of the Uncanny Valley, going so far in the horror direction that it almost becomes a parody of itself. Let's look at two characters from this series and compare them. Poppy, who is, all things considered, an ally, but still is vaguely unsettling in her appearance, versus Catnap, who is definitively an antagonist.
Look at that guy, man. Look at him. Jesus. Oh, Catnap is terrifying. One of the most terrifying horror characters I've seen.
And meant to be intimidating. Poppy's appearance, to go back 2 paragraphs, does actually manage to hit on the eeriness of the Uncanny Valley. She's clearly a doll. She has tiny unrealistic proportions, porcelain skin, bright artificial looking hair, but of course she moves and speaks like
fake ass Bo Peep. Fake ass Bo Peep, man. Oh, Poppy, she's
human. The voice acting in Poppy Playtime is pretty good in my opinion, and this includes Poppy's voice actress, Nola Klopp, who you might remember as the voice of Mimi.
Klopp.
Ina in Ina Dream Barbecue. This emotive voice acting mixed with Poppy's human movements and distinctly inhuman form, save for her strikingly realistic eyes, create a character who,
man, it's freaky.
even at the best of times, you have a hard time trusting. You wonder if there's something deeper to her, and yes, there almost certainly is, and whether or not you should actually be helping her. The plot, to be fair, also serves this a lot better by making her an untrustworthy ally instead of a simple enemy. Catnap, on the other hand, is a lot less subtle of a character. He goes through 2 forms during the game, as most of the antagonists do, and even in his first form, there's a lot going on. Clearly, they were going for the exaggerated features style of horror design for this character, and credit where credit is due, there are parts of the design that do work. The character is huge and very lanky, making him physically intimidating at the very least, and he stalks around quietly and carefully like a cat in a way that keeps you partially on edge. But his face, with the way too big mouth and the inverted eye colors, I don't know if this is going to make sense as a criticism, but it conveys, I have been designed to be scary, not I am scary.
I'm going to be honest with you guys. I've been finding Catnap very unsettling from the get-go ever since I even played the game. But ever since he pointed that out, Catnap's order kind of went down, man. Kind of went down. Jeez. He makes a good point. He makes a good point. Let's see where he goes with this.
It's a mistake, albeit not a project-ruining one, that I think a lot of Mascot horror falls into. It tries to reel you in with simple, marketable, childish characters, then swings way too hard in the other direction to inject some horror into them. I think a good example is Five Nights at Freddy's 4, where the Pizza Place animatronic style was pretty much dropped, and all the enemies were razor-sharp, metallic, demonic, glowing.
Ah, that's true. That's true. Like a parody of its former self. I do get where he's coming from. That makes sense. Yeah, I haven't played FNAF 4 much. I played a little bit of it. Yeah, once I found Foxy in the cupboard, I just quit. I quit, man. You gotta be kidding me. So, I played 1 and 2. Was this 1 and 2? Yes, I haven't played 3. I know you go up against Springtrap in there. I haven't played 3. Probably will now, since they are making a live action version of it, just so I can get ahead of them, you know. But yeah, like, I do understand where he's coming from now.
Nightmare creatures. Were they technically scary in their design? Sure. Was there a narrative or lore reason for them to look and act the way they did? Yes. But was the horror as effective as when it was just Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy? Well, not to me. And look, these are different games with different story structures, and when you're releasing games in the way that the FNAF series was in the beginning, you have a little bit more freedom to experiment. I think in Poppy Playtime, though, which is one continuous story, things feel a little more inconsistent when you play with a character design this way. And I haven't even gotten to Catnap's second form. Hey, what the fuck is this?
You gotta be kidding me. Feed the guy, man. Feed him. Guy's bony as hell. Oh, you gotta be kidding me, man.
I'm getting too old for this shit.
Feed the guy. Oh, what's going on in Playtime, man? Eat some corpses if you need to.
What the hell is going on with this character? Your design. This design is creepypasta, thumbnail, clickbait, face, Reddit.
Yes. Yo, this comes straight out of a creepypasta, man. Messed up.
Horror Collection's hidden ARG red circle design personified.
Why is his mouth so long, though? Because you can take enough. Can't believe I just said that.
It's genuinely very bad. Now, again, I'll acknowledge that I know what
looks like it was designed by a 5-year-old, man.
They're going for here, which is again unrealistic proportions, scary, but this is ridiculous. I don't want to be that guy, but the physics of the mouth just don't make sense.
Yep.
It feels almost nitpicky, but this just doesn't feel like a natural progression of the character.
I will let it slide because it's not like it's its actual form. It's not Catnap's monster form, it's his nightmare form. A form that is only seen if you breathe in his poppy gas. So, yeah, I mean, we could argue that it's just within the player's head and the player is seeing this, but I'll cut him some slack.
We've lost the fuzziness. We've lost really any feline features, the color scheme.
Y'all went from a cat to some hobo, man. Yeah. Shout out to the hobos out there, man.
This is just a generic horror antagonist, one you'd be unsurprised to find in a $5 itch.io game. It's lacking in personality. What emotion is this supposed to be? The original face I could maybe comprehend as a frozen, soulless smile beneath which sat a malice or other darkness, almost tragic in its morbid, unfeeling grin, but this is just a scary face.
Scary face? Not with that mouth, man, that look messed up.
It's great for a thumbnail or for marketing material, but it's wholly forgettable to the viewer. Now, I don't want to get hung up.
Like, look how he's got to keep the face at the top of the screen because the mouth is so long, like, it's messed up.
On this. This is just one character from one part of the game, and I don't even want to claim that my perspective here is the de facto right one. I've made that mistake before. I'm sure a lot of thought went into designing this character, but sometimes you still miss despite your effort. And my opinion definitely isn't the popular one in this fandom. A lot of people seem to really like Catnap.
Well, yeah, we like Catnap, but this thing looks like an abomination, man. Like I said, feed the damn thing.
In fact, he might be the second most popular character in the community, behind Huggy. But speaking of community, something I noticed specifically while diving into the Poppy Playtime subreddit is that, like most Mascot horror entries, a part of the lore has sort of fractured off from the main game and created a weirdly divisive split within the fanbase. Sometimes when Mascot horror blows up enough, two groups start to emerge. The lore hunters and the purists.
Shout out to Gravity Falls, man.
If you've been around in any of these communities for an extended amount of time, I'm sure I don't need to explore what I mean, but I will anyway.
Oh, I understand exactly what you mean. The lore hunters and the purists in every Mascot horror fan base, man.
The lore hunters begin judging games, and really any entry into their series' official canon, based off of what secrets and information they can get out of it, and how it aligns with their own pre-established theories.
Why don't y'all lore hunters take some advice from a random guy on the internet and get a life?
These people don't care about the designs of a character over another. They care which dead child this new character might be, or where in the timeline a certain scene takes place.
That's the thing, man. A lot of these Mascot horror games, they do have a very similar premise with dead children and things that appear friendly that end up not being friendly. Mainly FNAF was the one who popularized it. Poppy Playtime was inspired by it. And then came everything else after that. I ain't gonna lie, I do have a guilty pleasure for Garden of Banban though. That is actually it's quite peak in my eyes. Hey, it's underrated, man. I know the graphics are terrible, but it's underrated. I like Garden of Banban. It always seems to be missing children or dead children or whatever the fudge.
Place. Group B, essentially in response to the popularity of Group A, begin inversely judging the games in how much they align with the design, atmosphere, and gameplay of previous entries. They don't care about lore, they care about if the game is scary, if the strategy is the same as last time, if there are new and interesting gameplay elements.
Right.
And both of these groups seem to fucking hate each other for that.
Not accurate for the Pine Twins. Yeah, man, don't throw the Pine Twins in there. Jesus.
I'm sure that there's a quiet majority here, people who are simply fans of the games because they like the lore and the
He puts words on the screen so fast, I don't know what he just said there. Let me just check it out. Man, I keep hitting that mic. Feels, bro, feels. Jeez.
But those aren't the people who get into long arguments on subreddits, so we don't hear from them often. In the Poppy Playtime community, it seems that a big disagreement point is on a group of characters called the Smiling Critters, a group of anthropomorphic animals that includes the Catnap character as well as several others, who have apparently become so popular within the community, specifically to fan artists and younger creators, that the more pure Poppy Playtime fans, the Group B'ers, have started claiming that the Smiling Critters community has its own separate fandom at this point. And this is one of the weird things about Mascot horror.
Oh, that's wild, man. I would have thought.
Is that some people aren't really into it for the horror reasons. The Smiling Critters are cute, colorful characters with
Why do I feel like this is going somewhere wild?
distinct personalities and archetypes, and to younger fans of these kinds of games who have an odd predisposition to sorting things and enjoying pre-categorized character structures, these characters hold a lot of potential. They don't need to be horror anymore, they can serve whatever goal the young artist wants to use them for.
Yeah, there we go.
They don't
I
need
knew
to be
it.
horror anymore, they can serve
I
whatever
knew it.
goal the young artist...
There they go. There it is. Them fan artists, man, they're about to Rule 34, each and every one of them, man. Get those Rule 34 artists out of here. What the hell, man? Look at that. Jeez. Man, look at that pig, what the heck? They drew like that pink chick in My Hero. What the hell, man? Short skirts and everything. You gotta be
artist
kidding
wants to
me.
use them for. And by the way, just to get ahead of it, this is not unique to current young audiences. Stuff like Harry Potter and Percy Jackson gained a lot of popularity based on their sorting systems.
Percy Jackson too.
Or Patronuses, or whatever. What district of the Hunger Games would you be from? Are you a Dauntless or an Amnesty? What would your cutie mark be if you were a magic horse? Noticeably, all these popular ideas come from media intended for younger audiences,
Leave the ponies alone, please. Leave the damn ponies alone.
which is really the root of the problem for a lot of Mascot horror discourse. There's a breed of horror fan out there, one I've interacted with primarily against my will before, that believe that horror is only as good as how dark it is, how depraved, how intensely the evil, or the violence, or the whatever is depicted.
Resident Evil, Minty. What else is there?
Again, to be clear, this isn't necessarily an incorrect opinion, it's just a subjective one that clearly not all audiences share. However, certain people from certain groups have a habit of trying to enforce their horror ideals as law. These people...
That's any fan base in general, man. Like, they believe something wholeheartedly, they want to enforce it onto other people, but they can't even get off the goddamn internet and go outside and touch some damn grass and go meet some people, make some friends, get a girlfriend if they need to, a boyfriend, or what the heck. Just get the hell out of the house, man, and y'all won't have to worry about this Mascot horror shit.
People also have a habit of finding my comment section and telling me that the only true horror movie is Terrifier, a movie
Cool movie, though.
that I'd actually come around on a lot over the
Makes
past...
Pennywise look like Krusty. I like that. I like that.
But that definitely isn't the only horror movie, or even the scariest by a long shot. I digress. The big issue comes when these kinds of people get into contact with a community that has a higher percentage of children, or at least younger adults. Communities like the various Mascot horror fandoms. These gritty horror fans, at times, fail to recognize that the popularity of their series has a lot to do with its childish themes, and that a significant portion of the fandom prefer to specifically celebrate these themes, potentially over the more traditionally scary elements of the game. This causes them to scoff and start...
She got fan arts out, man. Where y'all my Halo fans at? Where y'all at, huh? Look at that. Just get the shit in my screen.
Criticizing the intelligence or the naivete of other parts of the community, and boom, discourse. Nothing wrong with it until it gets messy.
Y'all Giodi said nothing wrong with it until it gets messy.
And then that's when you see a mass exodus from the community, or worse, a stigmatization of the fandom as a whole, like with My Hero Academia, or
there you go.
Steven Universe, or even...
The Steven Universe fan base is questionable, man. They've done some wild stuff, and the way they treat the characters, I don't want to get into that.
Marvel. And depending on your age and investment, it's easy to get wrapped up in one side of the debate or another. And that's, in my opinion, what happened with the Smiling Critters. Speaking of children, let's talk about the orphans in this game, and how it relates to Mascot Horror's favorite trope. Dead kids.
Kids, yes! That's what I said! Dead children, man, all around.
Oh, I've mentioned in other videos of mine that typically, general audiences aren't really comfortable seeing the depiction of child murder, which is why it generally doesn't appear in popular media, or if it does, it's heavily censored, stylized, or implied. Well, Mascot Horror, including the entry in question, finds a simple but effective way to avoid negative responses, but still get all that delicious pedicide. And it's just to do it before you get there. I'm gonna say a sentence that I don't think anyone's ever said before. Dark Souls and Mascot Horror have a major theme in common. Their story...
I was not expecting that. But let's see where he goes with this.
take place after the action has happened. All the Dark Souls games, as well as Elden Ring, see you primarily exploring the ruins of castles that were invaded long ago, or the remnants of battlefields, their battles long since over. Similarly, Mascot Horror loves to see you taking care of a pizza place that's about to close because of that thing in 1987, or 1983, or whenever. Or an animation studio that's been abandoned for years, or a toy factory where a massacre took place, sometime before you got there. Not only does this allow the games to have their dead kids without as much controversy, but it also fills every scene with a kind of haunted atmosphere, even if the real threats to you are very much physical. It's like going to the memorial for a conflict or tragedy, long since cleaned up and polished, but the feeling of the air is still heavy with the weight of what happened.
Yeah, I see where he's getting at, man. I see where he's getting at. So that's how they're able to convey the story of dead children without actually showcasing dead children. I never actually thought about it that deep as well. When you made that Dark Souls analogy, I wasn't sure where it was going to go.
So, I guessed what was happening in this game, like, right from the get-go. Like, potentially 10 minutes into my first playthrough of the game. It's not a hard leap in logic to go, oh, these toys are alive. Children love toys. This company is definitely shady.
That's pretty much how it is with any Mascot horror game these days. You know, whenever I play one, like whether it be a popular Mascot horror game or one that is way deep underground, you know, whenever I play one, you see a poster of a toy on the wall, and then you can immediately tell, okay, that toy's alive, that toy's evil, or that guy's evil, that mascot's evil. You can immediately tell, and you're probably expecting a chase scene to go down. I mean, yeah, it's pretty much the same tropes all around, man.
They're probably putting kids in the toys. And that was mostly right, but it also seems like they're putting adults in the toys too. They're just throwing anyone in there. Or maybe it's more that the people are being transformed into toys. We don't see any children's bodies, but we do see dead toys with human skeletons, which either means that the kids' bodies are being put into the empty toy vessels and powering them with their souls or something, a la FNAF, or that the kids' bodies are being transformed completely into new horrific forms.
Man, look how sad Chica looks over there, man.
It's a la Bendy.
Probably because she's surrounded by that nasty-ass sausage fist.
Either way, child murder, let's go, with the added Mascot bonus of the child's personality being horrifically linked to the vessel it's inhabiting. It's interesting, though, the different levels of humanity certain toys have over others. I believe there's an in-universe explanation for it, that some toys were specifically created to be intimidating weapons, whereas others were simply tests.
I changed screens in that moment. I did not know Yarnaby was gonna pop out there. That actually starts to me for a second.
Or something like that. What's still unclear is why exactly Playtime is trying to do it. Now, I know this isn't a theory video, but for being such a big part of the overall story, and one of the last unanswered questions this game has left us with, it is interesting to speculate. I'd guess that it has something to do with immortality, if not for the fact that the toys seem exceptionally mortal. And
that's pretty much what the prototype has been hinting at, you know. He's been wanting to, not the prototype, the Doctor especially, wanting to achieve immortality, and the way they figured out to do so is with the poppy gel and the inanimate toys, turning them, finding a way to put a human's soul or essence within this toy's body. It's actually kind of messed up. The themes of immortality have been hinted at throughout the entire show.
Can experience hunger and sickness, as mentioned earlier. The other option is that they're trying to create some kind of weapon or product, and that potentially it's the process itself that's so valuable, not the kids. If you could patent the transfer of consciousness from organic bodies to artificial ones, that could make you a ton of money. Probably. I'm not a scientist or an investor. Whatever the case.
Let me tell you guys this. Let me tell you guys my theory. I think this is what's going to happen at the end of the whole series. I think Poppy and probably the prototype as well, I'm not sure, since he makes it seem like they're working together, probably going to blow the whole factory up into smithereens. That could be the case. Or the prototype could not be working alone. Yes, he was working with the Doctor, which the Doctor has been shut down, but has he really been shut down? Is the prototype really the main villain of the game? We'll find out in due time, man. We'll see. Maybe there's someone even higher than him, someone who has more power than he does.
The kids are dead, or at the very least permanently transformed, and the people love it. At the end of the day, the answer to the question, is Poppy Playtime and Mascot Horror at large effective, has more to do with your definition of efficacy more than anything else. Do the games sell well? 100%. These games sell millions of copies.
Jesus Christ. Security breach, 3 billion. Yo. Oh, that's crazy.
The games are super marketable, the characters can be used for anything, and so beyond game sales, these creators get deals for the characters to become skins in games, if not unique playable characters.
Dead by Daylight, Springtrap, wow.
As well as physical products like plushies, posters, clothing, and hell, when one does well enough, it might even get its own semi-popular movie.
Yes, yeah. That Five Nights at Freddy's movie was actually pretty cool, man. 1 and 2.
Or 2. In a market sense, yes, Mascot Horror is super effective. All the other parts of the conversation are nuanced, however. Is it effective horror? Well, unfortunately, as is the case for more horror projects than not, it really depends on the viewer and their prior experience. I can safely say that I believe a person with no experience with the Mascot Horror genre would have an enjoyable and spooky time with Poppy Playtime, in quite the same way I believe that they could with Bendy and the Ink Machine and Five Nights at Freddy's.
That was me, guys. That was me. You know, I played a little bit of FNAF when I was a kid, because all of my friends were into it. And obviously, big YouTube names like Markiplier and Matt Pat were making videos about it all the time. At the time, I wasn't really into it. It's because of Poppy Playtime that I got into Mascot Horror. I played chapter 1 because my nephews were recommending it to me, saying like, no, you should play this. I played it, freaked the hell out of me. And I was like, yo, this is actually really scary. So it actually makes sense when he says it's got to do with prior experience, because I never really had much prior experience to horror games. Aside from the occasional FNAF here and there as a kid. Played a little bit of Slender Man, didn't finish it because I got terrified. But yeah, man, yeah. Poppy Playtime got me into Mascot Horror, and now I'm actually really enjoying it. Well, most of the games, not all of them. A lot of them suck.
You know, things become popular.
Still think Garden of Banban is goated though.
For a reason, so if you loved one entry into Mascot Horror, you might love the other ones. Or you might find them derivative. But I also think that's a little unfair, judging by how many other horror trends have popped up over the years that are still enjoyed by the majority of horror audiences. Analog horror, for instance, for how much I love it, can feel really samey sometimes, to the degree that sometimes I can't remember if a specific famous scene comes from Gemini Entertainment, or Local 58, or Greylock, or any of the other ones. You know how many survival horror games I've played where I jump into a locker or closet and watch the antagonist sniff around the room for a bit before moving on? A lot! Horror, which is an art, is always a little derivative. No one is above influence, and it should honestly be celebrated when a new piece of art manages to utilize a familiar trope or trick in a way that's still enjoyable or unique.
I'm glad he's saying that, because a lot of people just crap on Mascot art and just say, oh, it's for babies, it's for kids and such. Mainly because there's obviously a lot of content farms on YouTube that creates a lot of content with these characters. Mainly Poppy Playtime and Garden of Banban. A lot of content farms with those characters. But the thing is, Mascot art as a whole, it can be scary. A lot of it can just be funny, like in Banban's case. But scary, yeah, a lot of it is as well. And many people just brush it off and be like, oh, toys? That's for kids. I'm not playing that shiz. Yeah, it's actually very underrated in my eyes.
I think it's really easy to write off stuff that feels childish as beneath you.
There we go, exactly what he just said.
Which is honestly something I fear I've done for the Mascot horror genre before in the past. I think it's also easy for a newer, younger horror fan to feel embarrassed that they like something which others have deemed as weaker or...
Embarrassed? Man, I love Garden of Banban and I'm saying it now. Nobody can tell me otherwise, man. That is awesome. Jeez. What anyone says on the damn internet, man. They can come in my comment section and roast me all at once. I don't give a damn.
Less deserving of the horror title, and to respond by avoiding other titles like it, despite the fact that they'd connected with it in the first place. As much as I dislike a game or a movie, I, and other creators like me, should try to remember that there's still a group of people who do like it. I don't mind ripping into a particularly shitty piece of horror, but when I start ripping into its fan base, then maybe I've gone a bit too far. I've done it before. It doesn't feel good.
I got a smile. Oh.
So this might be a bit of an anticlimactic
You
end.
have to make a movie about Smile? I can't remember now.
I read somewhere once that when someone makes the title of a video or an article a yes or no question, people assume the answer to the question is going to be no. Which is why I didn't name this video, Does Poppy Playtime Work? Or Is Mascot Horror Good? Even though those are two titles that I kicked around. Because the answer to both of those questions isn't no, but it also isn't yes. Different parts of it worked for different people. Maybe the most concise way of putting it is that it's a mashup of different things that different people might like.
It's quite subjective, indeed.
Enjoyable in bursts, but flawed in its mixing of these elements. But even that feels more like my opinion than the objective truth. So, I don't know. It's a weird way to end things. You tell me, I guess. Is it a good game? Does Mascot Horror work? Should Poppy Playtime get its own movie? Oh.
Yes!
It is.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch that, man. That's gonna be awesome.
Okay.
W video Connor, that was pretty cool, man. That was a really good video. Yeah, that broke down Poppy Playtime so well. The story, the character tropes, the horror tropes. Yeah, it was actually really good, man. Really good. Yeah, I'm heavily contemplating if I should play Poppy Playtime live on stream. I'm scared, man. I'm a scaredy cat, honestly. Maybe I should start with chapter 1. I don't know, man. I want to play chapter 1 again. Yeah, that scared me. Nagi Wagi, look how happy he looks in that pic, man. Look at him here. The guy looks so happy, but jeez, he's terrifying. One of the chapters leading up to chapter 5, or maybe I just jump straight into chapter 5, because I know exactly what happens in the story of 3 and 4. Like I said, I haven't finished 3 and 4. But yeah, do I have to at this point? I don't know, man. I don't know. But yeah, maybe I'll play. You can let me know in the comment section down below if you want me to play Poppy Playtime Chapter 5 or you want me to play any other Mascot horror games or yeah, just not anything too scary because I am a wuss. I'm going to tell you guys that right now. That was a W video by Conor McGrath. Y'all should go check out his channel, man. Go check out his videos over there. He makes some solid content. He said his channel is mainly based off horror and Mascot horror. You all should go check it out. It's really good. So if y'all want to see more videos like this and want me to dwell more into the Mascot horror genre, do let me know in the comment section down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll be sure to be back with another video real soon. Peace.